Land acknowledgement. As we gather together, we acknowledge the sacred land on which we reside. It has been a site of human activity for 15,000 years. This land is the territory of the Huron-Wendat and Petun First Nations, the Seneca, and most recently, the Mississaugas of the Credit River. The territory was the subject of Dish with One Spoon Wampum Belt Covenant, an agreement between the Iroquois Confederacy and Confederacy of the Ojibwe and allied nations to peaceably share and care for the resources around the Great Lakes. Today, this gathering place is still the home of many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, and we are grateful to have the opportunity to work in the community on this territory. We are also mindful of broken covenants and the need to strive to make right with all our relations. Last but certainly not least, we acknowledge the people of African descent who were brought here against their own will or in search of a safe place to live their lives and raise their children. Reconnaissance des terres. En nous rassemblant, nous reconnaissons la terre sacrée sur laquelle nous résidons. C'est un site d'activité humaine depuis 15 000 ans. Cette terre est le territoire des Premières Nations Huron-Wendat et Petun, les Scéniques et plus récemment les Mississaugas de la rivière Crédit. Le territoire était sujet de l'alliance de la ceinture Wampum plat avec cuillère, un accord entre la Confédération Iroquois et Confédération des Ojibwe et des nations alliées à partager et à prendre soin pacifiquement pour les ressources autour des Grands Lacs. Aujourd'hui, ce lieu de rassemblement est toujours le foyer de nombreux peuples autochtones de toute l'île de la Tortue et nous sommes reconnaissants d'avoir la possibilité de travailler dans la communauté sur ce territoire. Nous sommes également conscients des alliances brisées et de la nécessité de nous efforcer de guérir toutes nos relations. Dernier point, mais non le moindre, nous remercions les personnes d'ascendance africaine qui ont été amenées ici contre leur volonté ou à la recherche d'un endroit sûr où vivre leur vie et élever leurs enfants.
Good morning, or good afternoon rather, or good morning, depending on where you are joining from. How is everyone doing this morning or afternoon? How is everyone doing? Let me hear in the chat. My name is Moi Fung. I will be your host today for International Women's Day, and we will be meeting with industry professionals. And I can't wait to hear from them. But before I do, I want to hear from you. For those of you who are joining us, let me know, are you joining for the very first time? Have you joined us before? Are you looking forward to this event? Let me know. This is quite exciting. I personally am extremely excited. I spoke with our speakers over the last couple of days, and I'm just extremely inspired and excited to do today's session. So let us know. Let me just take a look at the chat. Good afternoon. Okay, so Teresa, okay, from beautiful Montreal. Well, good to have you. Bonjour. Anyone else, where are you joining from? Let us know. Even if you've been here a million times, let me know where you're joining from. Say hello. Wish the wonderful women here happy International Women's Day. We want to hear from you. We certainly want to hear from you. And you know what? Let me also share that we will be having just a phenomenal session. So feel free to invite your colleagues, your friends, invite some phenomenal women that you know. I think this session certainly will be an inspiration to many. So please, you have time to invite them. Vancouver, okay, Olgi, I hope I pronounced that correctly. Thank you so much for joining from Vancouver. And like I said, feel free to join the link. Once again, my name is Moy, and as you know, Ask a Professional takes place about 3 times a month here at the BBPA, where we get to speak with industry professionals. Good to see you, Jennifer. Good to see you. It's a very exciting panel. So what I will do, because we're only here for an hour, and you know, if you're as excited about technology as I've become, we need more than an hour to do this. So without further ado, what I will do is I will invite our panelists. Today, we're speaking about Black women in tech. It is so exciting. And you'll find out why once you hear them speak, okay? So Bukky is the first. She's the founder, pioneering a tech platform in the immigration, education, and settlement spaces to provide solutions to everyday people chasing the dream of greener pastures. Aren't we all doing that? She transitioned from being the principal consultant of an immigration consulting firm into a tech founder to solve the challenging issues within the space. Her company's MVP, so that's most viable product, not most valuable player, right?
Minimum.
Launched in January, and so far they have 1,000 users and garnered revenue in less than 3 months. That is absolutely incredible and inspiring. It is Women Month. Listen, I need for all of you, not just the women, but all you men that are here, I need you to show our women some love. You need to be a little bit more vocal today. I need to see you in the chat because it is Women's Day. And we want to let's love on our women. They are so inspiring. Now, without further ado, Tolu. She helps businesses streamline their technology and processes by implementing new technology and systems, enabling them to work more efficiently. Through her company, ACET Digital, she combines her natural ability to learn and integrate technologies with her passion for creating positive change in those she works with. And I know that is true because I spoke with her what was intended to be for a few minutes. We almost went on for an hour. We were almost late for this show that you're sitting in right now, right? Thank you, Jennifer. Happy Women's Day as well to you. Now, without further ado, let me start with Bukky. Bukky, just share, I know we've read your bio, and oftentimes I like to hear from you. What exactly do you do? Because I know sometimes the bio doesn't do us much justice, right? So what exactly do you do? And tell us a little bit more about your business.
So I think in short terms, I wear a lot of hats as a tech founder right now. But we are pioneering because the immigration space is one that hasn't been hacked yet. You know, there are things around the immigration, but not the immigration itself. So our company, my company, is one of the pioneers within the space. And our goal is to really digitize the immigration process from start to finish, from the time someone conceives in their mind, I want to take the step to Canada, what are my options, to the time when they get that final approval. We want to be that intuitive software that they come that guides them. Of course, with technology grows. So we are just at the MVP level at this time, where we launched in January, where we're taking it, connecting prospective immigrants to immigration consultants. And as we go along in Q2, we're going to be launching a basic calculator to really tell people and help them to find what are my options. Even without talking to anybody, they can find that options, and that options can keep changing as they keep tweaking it for themselves. This is going to be powered with AI and machine learning, just so that it can adapt over time. Again, technology grows, so our goal is to be able to, over the next few years, finally be able to have proprietary software that even is used by other immigration consultants within this space.
Oh my goodness, that is so incredible. So you have taken, Bukky, let's say, a traditional service of immigration consulting, and you have digitized that. Now, how incredible is that? Like 5 years ago, a couple years ago, no one was thinking on that level, right? To digitize the immigration process. And that's what you're working on. That's what you're doing. And I know you mentioned AI. And we just recently had a session. We had a series actually on technology, a tech series. So we've just been introduced to AI. So this is also very exciting for me, and I'm sure it is for our listeners today. So please, again, please share the link, invite your friends, your family members. This is big because technology, as we know, it's evolving, and the world is changing. The landscape in which we do business today, it is not the same as how we did it even before 2020, much less 10 years ago. And it will continue to change. So we need to have this information. So for those of you who are just joining us, we are speaking with Black women, beautiful Black women who are so powerful within their realm in technology. And we're going to learn from them today. We're going to be inspired. Now, Tolu, without further ado, I held you on the phone for a very long time. Now I want you to just share with our guests who you are and what you do within your organization.
Okay, thank you so much for the opportunity to speak on this platform. I'm Tolu Amadi, and I like to call myself a team lead. So I lead a team of developers to build the best possible efficient software out there. I say efficient because most of the time softwares get built, but at the same time, they don't get used, right? So what we want to do is to ensure that people are using the technology that we're building. And most of the time, there's always also a solution out there for technology. So we're not really looking to, recreate the wheel. We're looking to make sure that technology is efficient for everybody. If there's a solution out there, why do you need to create a new solution? Is there a problem with it? How do you fill in those gaps? So that's what I do. So combining my experience as an HR expertise and a software developer, I lead development teams to create the most efficient softwares.
That's beautiful. So ultimately what you're saying, Tolu, and please forgive me if or correct me if I'm incorrect. You work with organizations, whether small or big, to provide you work with organizations to provide them with technological, let's say, platforms to help their businesses to operate more efficiently. Is that correct in saying that?
Yes.
And you lead the team to achieve that.
Yes, exactly.
Now, go ahead.
Okay. There is one aspect of my business, and I think it's more specialized. I'm more focused on automation as opposed to actually building the app. The app is great. However, if it doesn't function the way it needs to function, then there's no need using it. So, and that's why our specialty is majorly focused on just making sure that the journey from start to finish, businesses, organization can achieve that without having to stress too much or get overwhelmed about their processes.
Yeah, that is quite incredible, because I know I've been working with small companies or micro companies as well for a very long time. And what I do know is, just like with every business, we all have a sales process, but sometimes our sales processes are, I would say, truncated to some degree. It's not seamless. It just doesn't work the way it should work. And you're saying that your organization helps us to do that. Now, can you tell us, before I go to Bukky, can you tell us what inspired you? I'm not sure if you mentioned that, but what inspired you to get into technology, the technology sector?
Okay, I'll say it's always been a passion that I had, and coming from Nigeria, where we didn't have as much of the opportunity to really advance when it came to technology. And then, the first thing I did coming here was, okay, I'll study economics, and that was the advice I got. And just going into that, seeing that some computer science students that I knew around, friends of mine, would come and they're saying, oh, I can't do this. I don't understand, what this is saying. And I'm just looking at it and I'm saying, well, this is so easy, this is what you need to do. This is what you need to do. So I found that I always had this question that I got asked, why are you studying economics again? What are you doing here? So, I mean, that kept ringing in my mind, and it was almost like, I need to follow the passion that I had, as opposed to doing what I just thought was necessary, right? And that's why I'm in the tech space.
That is incredible. That's incredible. And I'll tell you why, because, we've been talking a lot about passions as well and following your passion, but I know that's not always the case with many of us, especially some of us end up in the technology realm by accident. Bukky, what was your experience like? Was it an accident or was it a passion for you?
Whenever someone asks me, how did I get into entrepreneurship, I actually always tell them I'm an accidental entrepreneur. Same way, I'm an accidental, maybe a bit more process, I am, getting into technology. So it was more of a need that I saw, and I realized that I needed to step into this space. So the idea for getting into the tech space came, in 2020, when I was having a discussion with someone who was in tech, and it was like, you know what, you can do what you're doing way better with technology. At first I resisted that because I'm like, I'm not techie. I don't want to get involved with that. But then it seemed like everywhere I turned after that time, every conversation I was having, was just kind of leading into the technology. So at some point I'm like, you know what, I'm going to take a stab at this. And in 2021, that was when we started the journey into building our first MVP. Obviously, being a non-technical founder, there were so many challenges. And, we built something. I'm like, no, that's not what I wanted. And we had to start all over again. But the journey for me started, and it was a need in the market space that I realized that we needed to solve.
That is incredible. That is incredible. So we're hearing two different things. We're hearing an individual who was naturally adept to technology. So that was sort of the path that she took. And then we have someone else who's in immigration, a traditional service. Now you're doing so incredibly well, Bukky, in your field of endeavor. And I'm just so proud of that. And it's inspiring to someone like myself who, as I was mentioning to Tolu not too long ago, that coming from let's say old school sort of mindset, technology seems to be sort of that, almost like that evil twin, if you want to call it that, right? It's like technology is not something that we would embrace, especially if you're in the church, right? But recognizing that it is certainly something that we need to learn, especially in today's day and age, where it's only going to advance more and more. And if we don't get on it, especially as business owners, then we're going to be left behind. So thank you so much for the work that you've actually put in pursuing this. And it gives inspiration to someone like myself who sort of shied away from technology. Now, as a Black woman, and I'll stick with you, Bukky, for now. As a Black woman in tech, what are some of the challenges that you faced?
Well, I don't have I'm an immigrant. I moved here about 10 years ago. So, which means I don't have, even my network is something that is still being built, with COVID and all of that, that also disrupted this process. So you starting this kind of a business and endeavor is expensive, but you have to bootstrap because you don't have that angel investor in a rich community or relationship network. When I know a lot of tech startups within from non-Black people that I'm proud of, but most of these people, when you hear their story, they're people that I know as friends. They were talking to someone and they had $200,000 dropped into their lap before they even just with the idea. But we don't have that, again, relationship network. As Black people a lot of times, because even the people around us are still trying to figure life out financially. So I think that's been it, because we're bootstrapping 100%. We used all of our revenue at the time to start building this tech. Again, we scrapped what we did and started all over again. We had to pay for that. So that's an expensive process. So I think that's one of the things. Beyond money, it's also that relationship that can open certain doors for you. We are currently looking at partnerships with several schools, and it's just been challenging. I remember someone gave me feedback, but because a white person had opened the door for me, they didn't question it much, but they went back to her and said, can we trust this person? And really, this person is Black. Can we trust this person, with that? So when you have that, there's always that question as to your ability that a white person or maybe a non-Black person may not have, because they go in and they're trusted by the fact that, oh, this is a viable idea. But yes, you go in and there's all sorts of suspicions as to, can you actually deliver? Mm-hmm. Can you actually do what you said you're going to do? And so it becomes challenging because you have to keep defending yourself everywhere you go in a way your counterparts don't have to. So first of all, you don't have the money to be able to bank on, to be able to get certain key stuff. So like I said, I'm wearing so many hats. I mean, do have a team, but still you have to wear a lot of hats when you don't have money to get certain roles. And then secondly, you have to have your your idea, your passion being questioned and tested every place you turn to be able to get. So that, I think those are the two biggest challenges I faced, and especially the partnerships when we are making breakthrough, but it's just like sometimes I have to bang my head several times in a week, and then before a door is opened. And yeah, it's been quite a journey in the past few months. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, kudos to you for sticking with it and standing up for what you want. And I think it doesn't matter where we are functioning in any sector in this world. This is the pushback that we get as Black women, right? As Black people. So thank you so much for sharing that. Tolu, how about you? What were some of your challenges?
Okay, so I can testify to what Bukky said as well, most of the time, because I think recently, last year, I had won a pitch, almost like a pitch competition for Alberta IoT. I had done one of their accelerator courses, so I came out as one of the top 3. And I got the opportunity to go to the Banff Venture Forum. This is where you meet a lot of venture capitalists, and you get to talk about your business and what you're into. I did have an idea at the time. I still do have the idea. However, after coming back from the forum, I had spoken to a few venture capitalists, and one of the things that kind of popped out was that reference that Bukky had talked about, and they just don't know how they could possibly support. But one way I've seen that I get the help that I need is always going back, following up, and I don't take no for an answer. Or sometimes you just see that maybe the conversation just stops. So I just go back and say, I'm just trying to circle back here and see if we can have that conversation. Most of the time, even though I don't get exactly what I want at the time, I always get a lead to what I need to do, and that has always helped me.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And I think those are some of the qualities of a woman, right? Just knowing how to pivot and knowing when to persevere and know when to circle. It's just absolutely so incredible listening to you. Am I the only one that's truly inspired by these two beautiful women, Bukky and Tolu? I need to see you in the chat, please. And please get your questions documented, so we will answer them later on. Well, not myself, but Bukky and Tolu will answer your questions. This is absolutely incredible. I think I wanted to find out, Bukky, how many people do you have on your team?
So we are a team of 8 people. 5 people are full-time, and then the other 3 are contract. Our team is spread across, we have 2 people in Canada, and we have the rest of the team in the UK and Nigeria.
That's incredible. And was it easy or difficult? How was it in the vetting process in hiring your team, right? And the reason why I'm asking, well, there's that. Okay, let me ask you that question first. How difficult was it, or was it easy?
I think to a certain extent I've been lucky when it comes to a team. And one thing I've found, especially in the tech space, because you don't have the premium money, even as a startup, whether tech or not, you don't have the premium money to compete with all the other organizations that are out there. So you need to be creative. Most of my people have come through recommendations. They've been former clients who have spotted, a skill set that they have. And some of them have just been willing to, we love what you do. And that has kind of transitioned into something more meaningful. And you also do not need to have full-time people to get some certain jobs done, right? People can still work where they do. So it's those flexibilities that we've been able to adapt that has made it easier. I think anyone, and Tolu would attest to this, one of the biggest challenges is finding the right developers, because developers can make or mar you, and they could also be a nightmare for you. So I think that developers are something that some people test. My case was because we hired a company who built our platform for us, we were able to retain that developer from that company for maintenance. So that has helped us in transitioning. But if I was to have gone out, I don't know how I would have made that possible by myself. So working with
Yes.
small businesses as well, finding ones that work for you, within your price point, I think those are the things that would really help in terms of getting the right people.
Yeah, certainly. No, this is great. I want to hear from you, Tolu. Is it similar for you in vetting your team?
The same. However, we usually have a pool of people that work from different parts of the country. However, one of the things that I did, I think, late 2022 was try to bring back a lot of the roles to Canada, simply because it was opening up, COVID and everything.
Yeah.
We were opening up, and we just needed to serve clients in a different way.
Yes.
And also what she talked about when it comes to developers, it was costing me too much to manage developers from, across the country,
Yeah.
other than doing it in Canada, where I can have, I can talk to my contacts or my connection, and they can check up on them, as opposed to, in Africa or in the Philippines, where it just seems like it's a different route to be able to talk to developers, and it's much harder, right?
Mm.
So for me, it has been, just in-house teams, still have contractors. We have set time, set projects to do things, but I'm working more with an in-house team.
And how many people do you have on your team?
Currently, we have about 7, and we still deal with contractors. However, what we've done is to invest more on the human side of things, which is, people that understand a little bit about technology. They have soft skills, leadership skills, communication skills, so that, information can be passed on very easily and very quickly. I think that's one of the gaps that a lot of people dealing with developers are facing these days.
Wow, wow, wow. This is quite incredible. And again, please write your notes down, write your questions down so that they can answer. And I hope so that you're taking notes as well, because I'm certainly I'm hearing, because we understand how important it is to have a team. Like, it doesn't matter how gifted or skilled you are, we need a team, right? I'm actually reading a book right now that it's not how, it's who. So who do you employ? Who do you bring onto your team that can help you to get to the next level? And I think you guys have been great examples of that, of really sourcing the right people to help with this project. Now, with that being said, this kind of goes back to some of the things that we spoke about in previous sessions, that when we are looking at, let's say, implementing technology into our business, it's not just a mere of, let's put technology into our business. It's really understanding our processes. So we have to have a good grasp as business owners what it will take or what we need in order for that to happen. Does that make sense? Bukky, can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, so like I was saying, I wear a lot of hats, and you have to, as a tech founder, because you are the number one person that is going to sell your technology, or you're going to sell your product to anybody. And so you need to know it in and out. So I'm the product owner by extension, even though I don't necessarily wear that hat. And what a product owner does is you own the product, you know the ins and outs, you know what needs fixing, what the next level is, what are the iterations that need to be made to make the user experience even better. You are coordinating. So by having that, I'm able to look at things from that holistic perspective to say, how does this function? How is the process? How is the workflow? And that also helps, like, other people that you have to bring in, whether they're contract or they're full-time, to say, this is the vision of what we're trying to achieve with this product, and then this is whether it needs to be automated. There are things that can be automated. There are things that, even if it needs to be manual in the very first place, you need to know how that process works so that you can then translate it. Because even if you want to use technology, you need to know how it works manually first before you can then adapt. With every time I've spoken to our technical advisor, I'm like, I want to implement this. The first thing she asks me is, how does this work manually right now? because you need to know that before you can adapt technology. So if you don't know how your process works without technology, you will find it hard to actually use technology to actually simplify your life, to automate things. So those are key things, and that comes with ownership. Nobody's going to own your business better than you. Of course, as you grow, as you have, more higher skill set level of people that manage it, your, reliance on you would change. But at the beginning, you are mostly responsible for that.
That was well said. Well said. Tolu, do you want to share?
Okay, so I enlisted more like a strategist, a financial strategist, I think late last year. And one of the things that she kind of told me was, you need to get those that work with you to think as though they're part of the team. And that has helped me, as opposed to thinking, okay, this is my task, that is my task, but they should be offering recommendations as to how your business can be put forward. And that is what has helped me. Don't try to micromanage, just stay on point. And also another thing that we've tried to do as well is just making sure that I am available for them. So let's just say I'm your support assistant, right? So you can come to me and say, I'm looking for that document, where is it? And then I provide it for you, right? Or you can come to me and say, I'm speaking with this client, however, I'm having this type of issue. How do I, go about this? And then I help out with maybe, communications. This is how you communicate with this client. And this is how you send out, documents. You need to make sure that, the templates and the formats you're sending out, go well. And it has always helped. It has worked. It has helped to create that efficiency. Like Bukky said, we're wearing many hats, but also involving the team in all the hats you're wearing helps tremendously.
That is really good to know. And I want to know, because as entrepreneurs, we tend to have, I believe every entrepreneur has an ego. I believe that every entrepreneur, like, we know what we want and we know how we want it done. How easy was it for you to sort of delegate tasks, or how challenging was it for you to not micromanage? Maybe that's the question. Was that a challenging thing for you to not micromanage?
I will say no, because I would say that's my style. Delegating is my style, but knowing exactly what to delegate is where the issue could come in. So if you don't know what to delegate, then you're gonna have issues. But however, simply because my business is in the business of actually creating systems and, educating people, that has always been my business style from the very get-go.
Very nice. And is it the same for you, Bukky?
I actually don't have a problem with delegating, but I think to Tolu's point is, just knowing what to delegate. We did have a management consulting firm in 2021. And one of the things that we had to learn in terms of organizational structure was everyone needs to own their role. And while I was never a big person on micromanaging people, I really kind of took even a lot more steps backward. And I told people, I am not going to micromanage you. I expect you. And so we put in checks and balances into the process, into the system that allows me to be able to see what they're doing and know that whether I check in or not, the job is getting done, because that helps you. Yes, there are things that only myself can do right now, but at the same time, the team also should be able to do certain things to make that part also easier.
That's great. Now, I'm a firm believer in having a growth mindset, right? I believe that even if we did not know about technology, we've never heard of it before, it is definitely something that we can learn about and something that we can do exceptionally well at. Now, with that being said, are there any natural, apart from having that growth mindset and being open to growing and learning and really pushing through the challenges, are there any specific skills that you think we ought to have? Let's say for someone like myself, who is very new to the sector, And 100%, I am going to get into technology. Nope. Right? Now, are there any skills that you would recommend someone like myself or those that are listening, any specific skills, especially as it pertains to being a Black woman?
So I think it would depend on what part of technology. Are you adapting technology into your business? Are you becoming a tech founder? If you are becoming a tech founder, while it's important to know sort of like the skill set, but I think knowing your product the most and knowing how to articulate that is one of the very first processes. You might need to go through an accelerator program, which kind of breaks that down for you. There are quite a number of them. I'm not sure about different, I know they have in different parts of the country. I'm in Calgary, and there are so many in Alberta that exist by both Black foundations and non-Black foundations. So I think that that's one of the places you can actually bridge your knowledge gap. I would let Tolu speak about if you wanted to adopt technology into your business.
Okay, I think I found for me, even prior to when I went back to school to do full stack web development. One thing that I've found that's really helped would be having that research skills, because a lot of the tech right now that we use, it's not really about whether you can follow few steps and then getting it done. It's really about researching what you want and then getting it done through what you find, your findings. It's the same for developers. We don't want to learn the whole book, right? But we do our research, we find it's just like doctors, right? So sometimes you go for a diagnosis and they go in first and do their research based on based on the symptoms that you have, and then they come back and give you the diagnosis that they, or the solution that they think they should have. It's the exact same thing in tech, where you have to do your research, have good communication skills. If you're a tech founder, sales skills are super. You need to know how to sell at every given period of time, right? It could be in a conversation, but sell me what you have without selling it to me, right? So, that kind of skill is what I think should everyone should try to cultivate and should try to develop. I remember speaking with someone, I think one of my team members that I'd hired earlier, and one thing that she had told me was, that she doesn't have sales skills. And simply because she said that, I put her in front of the clients and let her handle some of the things. And you'll be surprised how much she did just by being in front of the client, because she knows all these things. She knows that the clients need these things, right? But she just doesn't know how to apply the skills. So number one, there needs to be a way that people are given opportunities to apply. However, also being able to, take that bold step and also try to bring it up front is also as important as the skills that you have. So just the implementation of it too.
Very nice, very nice. I'm clapping. Please give like some virtual emotions and stuff. Let's clap them, because I think the information that you're giving to us, it's not only what we can apply to the tech sector, it's really what we can apply in any aspect of business or life, right? So I do appreciate that. But what we're hearing knowing your product. We're hearing research skills. What was the other thing? Sales skills. And I think you're an exceptional leader, by the way, Tolu, for doing what you did. And it all goes back to the growth mindset, because oftentimes some of the things that we think we cannot do, we can get exceptionally well at doing them if we only give ourselves to them. So I do appreciate that from you. Now, you talked about an accelerator program, Bukky. Is that what it's called? Like, can we just Google accelerator programs, and like, how do we know what to look for? What keywords are there that we need to use?
So I would not say, so I'll put a caveat here. I don't think you need to go, and this is something I've seen with some people, Black people specifically in tech, both genders, where we are over-mentored. And we keep going for all of the different accelerators with nothing to show for it. So while accelerators are good, you need to define, why am I going into this accelerator? Now, and that would be based off on what you are trying to do. So I went into an accelerator for 6 weeks. I mean, it wasn't going to be a lot of commitment. And I was very specific because I don't have a lot of time. And the reason I went there was I needed connections to the partner institutions we needed to work with. And this accelerator was going to provide that to me. That was my goal. So that helped me get through again, it wasn't too much of a time commitment. For some people, it's like, I don't even know where to start. I have all these different ideas. So I want to go into the accelerators to kind of filter that out. But again, one caveat I always put is people who are going, the advisors that are there, they are, even though they may have a longer foresight than you do, but you know intuitively what you know better than someone else. No one can tell you your idea better than you. And so you need to be mindful as you go into these accelerators that they don't douse your idea. And you maintain that intuitiveness that you have so you don't lose it, because I've seen that happen too. So accelerators, if you want to find them, go start with your city or start with your province. Ontario is much bigger, so you might want to just start within your city and you'll find accelerator programs. Most of them are by non-for-profit and they're all free. Some may be paid, but most are free for you to attend. Again, be clear and be sure exactly why you want to go. Do you need to up your technical skills? Do you need to do you even want to do customer discovery? Or do you just want to just even get an idea if I should go into this tech space? Those are the things that is going to help to propel. Don't just go into an accelerator because they said, well, you need to go into an accelerator to get into the tech system. You will find yourself, and once you're all over the place, people are like, well, she's always going to accelerators and we don't see anything. So it's people talk within the community, and it's a big and small community. So you have to be mindful.
Tolu, I see you smiling. Do you want to weigh in on that?
Okay, so I think I wanted to weigh in on the all over the place thing. I think last year, I took 3 accelerators, but I think I was tired out from it, just going to accelerators. And so if you really don't have that focus as to why am I going to this accelerator, then it will just be the same thing. Like you will come out of the accelerator feeling like, okay, so what did I actually gain out of this? Right. I remember even when I went for the BAM Venture Forum, there was another accelerator that one of the venture capitalists wanted me to join. And I just, looked at it and I was like, I don't think that this is, the best for me at this point, but maybe in the future I can consider it, because, I had done 3 accelerators. And at this point, I'm not at the stage where I want to take my business through that stress. This time around, I want to actually focus on growing in a different way. So everything in the accelerator should be applicable somehow. There should be some kind of space where you can apply it, as opposed to, just, taking accelerators and not being able to implement or apply whatever you've learned from doing all of that learning.
Thank you for sharing that. And I think what you're both saying sort of goes back to the thought that when it comes to our businesses, let's not go blindly. Let's take the time to develop our plans. And even if you hire someone to do your business plan writing and so forth, that you should very much be in the process of it, because you should know your business more than anyone else. And I think this is what this is speaking to. So for those of you who are listening, I think this is just a great reminder of some of the things that we spoke about before is, listen, you need to know your business more than anybody else. And that even when you want to, let's say, implement technology, then at least you know exactly what it is that you're after, right? And not having someone else tell you what you need, right? So I think that's really incredible. It's great reminders that we're all getting here. If you're just joining, we're talking to Black women who are exceptional in their field and they're in technology, and I'm excited, and I certainly hope that everyone else is too. We will get to some questions in the chat. Now, let me actually, I'll address some of the questions in the chat. We have about 15 minutes left. But I also do want to know from both Tolu and Bukky, what would you recommend for someone who's wanting to get into the field? Apart from all the skills and stuff that we spoke about, is there anything, any kind of advice that you'd want to give to someone, a Black woman who wants to get into the field, who may even be a little bit intimidated and so forth?
I think I would say hone in on your soft skills, because that is very important. And then choose just one specific thing. Don't try to do everything, and also research is very important, because once you're able to research, you can now find out what field actually fits you. So don't try to be, let's say, a product manager because everybody else around you is a product manager, right? Try to do some research. There's opportunities in cybersecurity, do that, research about it and find out more about it. It might just well be something that you're interested in, right? There are opportunities as DevOps, right? Try to do a bit of research, find out who your target audience may be. And if it's career-wise, then you also want to find out who's hiring for, DevOps expertise, right? So that's what I mean by doing your research, finding out exactly what you're interested in before you actually go into it. And that's all the advice I have.
That is great. How about you, Bukky? Do you have anything to share with that? Go ahead.
So if you want to go into a career in tech, I think one of the best places to figure out is there different areas. And there are some that have also been overflogged, and there are some that people haven't even delved into. So like Tolu said, cybersecurity, and there are quite a number of all the other ones. So you need to look at that. But beyond looking at those, if you're trying to transition from a business or a non-tech role, then you need training. There are so many people. Ask for recommendation from people that are already doing the roles. Go on LinkedIn, look at other Black people. If you're an immigrant, look at other people that may be from your country, because that will be a bit of a softer, warm lead for you to approach, and ask them, how did they get into the field? If they were to have taken a program, they can recommend that. So that way you are taking the right program to help you ease into, because most of these programs, they will train you. They would also help you with your resume, help you with your interview. You have to pay for that, right? So it's also an investment. You need to be ready to invest money into getting that, because unfortunately, none of the non-for-profits really trains people into getting tech roles. So you have to use the for-profit businesses. Now, if you're looking at going into tech as a founder, then I think the one thing you want to is, how do I make money the fastest way? I know a lot of times we're thinking about the product, we're thinking about the idea, but most startups fail because they don't make money on time to be able to stay afloat. Again, there is no initial capital for us Black people most of the time. So how do I make money at the fastest possible time? So if you have not articulated that, and it's going to take you a year, the question is, you have enough bandwidth, both mentally, both financially, to stay a year before you make revenue? If you haven't answered that question, you should not be starting off your tech startup yet.
Wow. Wow. That is great. Let me get to Fred's question, because we have about 10 minutes left. Fred wants to know, what advice do you have for someone with a tech solution idea, but without tech skills, especially in terms of protecting and maximizing the idea?
Hey, look at me here. I am someone who don't have tech skills. Obviously you're going to learn. I remembered in 2021, I was brand new. I didn't even know what the MVP, I didn't know what that was at the time. And I've had to learn a lot of lingo, a lot of things along the way, and I'm going to keep learning, right? So I think that you should not be so worried about having the technical skills. The most important thing is, can you communicate your what you want to a developer? I think that's one of the biggest skills that I'm having to learn, because a developer speaks to me in technical language and I'm like, no, I don't understand that. Can you break it down for me? So I've had to learn how to teach my developer how to communicate with me in a way I can understand as a non-technical person. So I think that should be the list of your worries. you will pick some things. If your role requires you to ultimately really have technical skills, then you might want to take a course on that. But if it doesn't, that you can know your product, then you will be fine. You will learn as you go along, as long as you know your product.
You know, I think, let me, did you say that you had to teach your tech persons how to communicate with you in non-technical language? Is that what you said?
Yes.
Now, now that's certainly, listen, we can learn a lot from these women right here. And I think that that's good that you're assertive. And so it wasn't a mere just, well, I don't know the language and let me go and take a course on it. It is, listen, this is what I'm doing. And yes, we're going to implement this, but I need you to understand what I'm saying and I need to understand what you're saying. So you need to speak with me in a way that I can understand you. And I think that that is absolutely incredible. Do we have any other questions in the chat? And Tolu, please feel free to chime in on this as well. Any questions in the chat? We are winding down. We're about 9 minutes away, but this has been such an inspiring conversation. The program manager that really leads these the programming for this, I think I need to send her a gift, because when we first started doing the tech series, again, it was something that I shied away from. But the more that I, have these conversations, the more that I meet incredible women like yourself, I'm just like so blown away. And there's no reason why, I have absolutely no reason why to implement technology into my business, right? So someone else has a question, says, how do you, bear with me, did I miss that? I'm seeing a question that says, how do you overcome imposter syndrome? But I believe that's an old question, but we can answer that if you'd like. Or is that the same question that she's asked again? How do you overcome imposter syndrome?
So I think that there's no way to, we all feel it. I wouldn't say that there's no way to overcome it. However, taking stock of what you've done, in the past years, and then bringing it to the forefront anytime you have challenges, that has always been a way to help me. Also, doing affirmations, saying positive things about myself has been helpful as well. And just making sure that whatever I'm going into, I do understand, the intent of what I'm going into. That has been very, very helpful for me, understanding the needs of the client, what kind of solutions can I bring forward and how am I communicating it to the clients? I was in, a situation where I had to work with about 4 organizations, to build one app. And, the first time I sat in that meeting, it was like, I had about 75 people there from different organizations, and I just froze, just wondering to myself, how am I going to communicate with 75 people with different ideas, right? But when I took a step back, I was able to figure out what needed to be done, which was to create surveys, create forms. These are skills we already have. We just don't know, sometimes because we're overwhelmed and because we're thinking about imposter syndrome, we can't really articulate that to ourselves. So maybe just put that aside sometimes, and then just, think about the whole big picture. What is it? Why did they call you? Why did they even think that you would be the best person, or you will be in the best position to handle their needs? So that's what you want to put at the forefront always.
That is good. And I do want to ask both of you, though, in your opinion, what steps can companies and organizations take to increase diversity and inclusion in the tech sector? Is that a question any of you want to take a stab at?
I think women are the future in everything. So diversity, starts from, inclusivity of women in the higher ups of organizations, because I found that even in my organization, it's women led, and I work with a lot of women, and we get things done faster and quicker, and we're more creative because of that.
Oh, that is beautiful. Bukky, I know you want to chime in on this one.
Yeah, so I think, one of the best ways, I think that there's been several research, and I've read a few, where an inclusive team, whether it is across gender, across races, have always produced much more results or better results than teams that are they look the same in whatever way that looks like. And so with that in mind, I believe that if organizations would always put that at the forefront to be able to say, you know what, can we bring in other people, because that diversity in ideas could also help. I'm also like, we also have a very strong women team. I actually love working with women, and it makes life easier. We can understand each other a lot more, get things quickly, work through a lot of things. So yes, so knowing that the results are better when you have an inclusive team, I think should be the driving force for most companies.
Beautiful. So diversity is power, everyone. So that is absolutely incredible. So now, can you share, I'd like to get from both of you, can you share with us a particular experience or moment in your career that has been a defining or transformative for you as a Black woman in tech? I mean, you've shared so many wonderful stories already, but is there one moment that was just defining and transformative for you?
Okay, I would like to go first.
Okay. So defining transformative, I don't know if you would consider this defining, I think it was during, the pandemic when a lot of businesses struggled with just, what to do. Everybody was at home and a lot of businesses were closing down, but me just seeing, the amount of pain, overwhelm and not knowing what to do around me, that really defined and created what AC Digital is today. Focusing on not just the business or the websites or but focusing on the processes, the story behind everything, and just making sure that operations works well. And that's why we deal majorly with automations at AC Digital.
Bukky?
I would say it was also the pandemic, right? So we grew in revenue 8 times between 2020 and 2021 as an immigration firm, where you're basically, locked down and we're badly affected. But I realized that, you know what, I'm actually built for this. My creativity, we opened new lines of business that really just helped us to skyrocket when a lot of people, and it doesn't mean that it didn't come with its own challenges, but it was at that point I'm like, you know what, I got this, I'm a badass at this. So that for me, that growth, seeing that growth in 2021 was just a testament to the fact that necessity is actually the mother of invention.
Necessity is the mother of invention. That is beautiful, and I think that's a great place to stop. But I do want to ask you what your plans are for the future, both in terms of your personal career goals and your vision for the future of the tech industry as a whole.
My goal, I would love to hack the immigration space. Recently, I was speaking with an immigration lawyer that has that tried this 3 times over the past 3, 4, 5 years and didn't hack it. And being one of the pioneers, my goal would really be to hack that in whatever way. Again, technology changes, we may discover we need to go in a different direction, but the most important thing is hacking it in one way that we can provide that solution and serving 1 million people over the next 5 years.
Oh, I love how you think. I love how you think. So thank you for addressing Tolu, Fred's question. Okay, so we are seeing an increasing number of Nigerian entrepreneurs making headway in developed countries like Canada. Unfortunately, there are more pool of Nigerians with great skills in Nigeria that do not have the opportunity to migrate to such places. Are you looking at networking with other tech people, especially in Nigeria, to create a platform or enabling environment, especially for funding and exposure? Yes, I don't mind networking. You may connect. Okay, so Fred, thank you so much for that, Tolu. Fred, you have a link to her LinkedIn, and feel free to share your details as well. Bukky, I still have to get your response, Tolu, on that question. What is next for you in terms of your personal and career goal, your personal career goals and your vision for the future of the tech industry as a whole?
More learning. One aspect of my company that I haven't really discussed with here on this platform is the training part of things. So I would love to delve more into training. Without training, there's no way people will be able to utilize the technology that's coming out. And you know how fast it is. And, you know, new things keep coming every day. Right now we have quantum technology, we have AI that's currently making waves. So I'm actually doing a more in-depth course on artificial intelligence. And I'm hoping to apply that in my own business as well. And, you know, also training, teaching students, people that are coming up is something that I love. I love to do. So just integrating that in our everyday, you know, operations is what I'm really looking forward to.
Wow. Now, thank you so much, both you and Bukky, Tolu and Bukky. You've been incredible, providing us with the insight and the inspiration today on Women's Day. Now, we hear from Tolu. Tolu says that women are the future. And I agree. Is there anyone else that agrees with what Tolu says? Women are the future. And technology is the future. We've had a very important conversation today, and I just want to, on behalf of the BBPA, thank you so much. Please give, we're seeing many thanks to the extraordinary sisterpreneurs. Bear with me while I scroll up. Wonderful webinar by Teresa Booth. Anyone else who really had a wonderful time? Did we learn something new today? What was one thing that you could take away from this conversation? One thing that you can take away. I would love to hear that before we go. We are going to close off in a minute or so, but give me one thing that you've learned today. Be strategic. I like that. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I do thank each and every one of you. Oh, Naya-san, did you have something to say? Did you want? I'm sorry? Be intentional. Do you want to open your mic? Okay,
Yes,
perfect. Go ahead.
yes. I was trying to tell you that you muted my mic. Yeah, it's just so exciting to see you two ladies, and I'm inspired by the word. I believe every single word you've just said. And I'm a techie myself. I'm a computer engineer, so it's just so refreshing to see you women getting into the space, and it's totally inspiring. So I'm sending you peace, love, light, and healing, plenty money, and I'm gonna reach out to you and try and connect. So it's all smiles around here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for saying that. Thank you. Thank you so much. Now, I do want to remind each and every one of you that, listen, we're talking about, these are organizations that were just launched in the height of the pandemic. Let's keep that in mind. We're in 2023 now, and we're dealing, these individuals, Tolu and Bukky, they started their organizations in 2020 and 2021. Am I right in saying that? This was just a few days ago. So look at what you can achieve in terms of exponential growth and success. I think this has absolutely been incredible. Thank you so much once again on behalf of the BBPA. I think this is a great way to celebrate Women's Day. We have some powerful Black women who are doing some serious things in the tech space. And I do want to get to the one person before we end off, but thank you once again. I believe it's Cora, who is it? Diane says that know how to articulate what the added value of your product is. So that's what you've learned today. Thank you so much for sharing that. It has been incredible. Did you have a good time, Bukky and Tolu?
Yes, I certainly did.
we want to have you back. We want to have you back, maybe to do a workshop or something like that, but we certainly want to have you back. And so Teresa says, you inspire me. So thank you once again on behalf of the BBPA. You've been absolutely incredible. For everyone who's joined today, thank you so much. Thank you so much for your participation. Thank you for joining. And the next time, please do share with your colleagues, your friends, because this is information that we all need to know, especially within the Black sector, right? In the space that we're in, we ought to uplift each other by the information that we share. So thank you once again. I just have a few announcements before we close off. We have some upcoming events. We have some more women events that are happening, and we are just waiting for, so we have this Saturday, March the 11th, we have tax-free savings account, the benefits and how-tos of building wealth with a tax-free savings account with Beverly Allen, who's an investment advisor. That's this Saturday, September. I don't know where I got that. Saturday, March the 11th at 10 a.m. That's on the that's in community space. And we have Level Up HR Management with Tanya Sinclair. She's the founder and board member of Black HRPC. This is Tuesday, March the 14th at 2 p.m. It is hosted by our very dear Stephanie. Thank you so much, Fred. That's Level Up HR Management. And then we continue the discussions with women. Now, next week, we are dealing with Black women in aviation. It is hosted by yours truly, and we have a beautiful panel of women who will be sharing with us next week. So please do join us. Please do share with your colleagues and your friends. And we certainly look forward to seeing you again. Okay, God bless you. Again, we love you and thank you so much for joining.
The Business Advisory Implementation Development Service. The BATES program is a major step forward.
I believe in the economy of women. I believe in creating our own space, creating our own financial freedom.
How do you get business? How do you get financing? How do you get approved for government loans?
We have to understand and recognize what the barriers are. And then we work to break those barriers down.
We're going to sit with you and we're going to wrap you around the best experts we have.
So time is money. The more time you lose, the more money you're losing.
Success does leave clues. And if you pick up on those clues, you too can ascend in that same path.
As an organization, we've really made specific efforts to help you pivot so that you can thrive.